I have to talk about the Pistons. I hate to have to do it, but I have to. I have a moral obligation, I feel, to talk about the Pistons. Okay? So yesterday, the Pistons played against a fellow 2-14 team in the Washington Wizards. And believe it or not, actually, the Pistons were favored. It was a hometown game. You know, hey, two of the worst teams in basketball. And the Pistons lost that game by double digits. And I have reached a point with the Pistons where I truly think that this will be the worst team in the history of the NBA. Like 2012 Bobcats, eat your heart out. This team is so bad. Like, you want to hear a stat? Here's a stat. The Pistons, since the trade deadline of last season, have won, I believe, like 9 games, something like that. So this calendar year, they've won 9 games. Okay. The Detroit Lions, this calendar year, have won 10 games. A football team has won more games than the basketball team has over a calendar year. I've never heard of that happening in my whole. I don't know if that's ever happened. And I mean, you have to think that it's not going to remain that way. But I mean, I look at their schedule and I'm like, I don't know if they can beat the Lakers. I don't know if they can beat the Nets. I don't think they're going to beat the Sixers. I can't look. I look at their game for the rest of the season or the rest of the year, and I'm like, I don't know if they're going to win any more games. But that's sort of beside the point. Okay, the thing that I need to point out, because there's a lot of Pistons fans out there that need to be educated, that need to know the man who is primarily responsible, because it's not Monty Williams, it is Tom Gores, but also it is the man whom Tom Gores has hired to be his general manager. It is Mr. Troy Weaver. Troy Weaver is, in my opinion, on the level of Matt Millen, Al Avila, and Ken Holland in the later years as far as awful general managing in the draft, in trading, in free agency, and just in general things. Troy Weaver has been terrible. So I've collected a list of things that Troy Weaver has done, and I am going to recite them all to you just to lay down the law of just how terrible this whole regime has been. Okay? So his first draft, he drafts Killian Hayes, Sadiq Bey, and Isaiah Stewart. Now on paper, you look at that and you're like, okay, these are somewhat interesting players, I guess. We'll see how it goes. So Killian Hayes was, of course, infamously, at this point, drafted above a player by the name of Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton, by the way, let me pull up his numbers real quick. Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton is averaging close to 30 points a game this year with 11 assists. He's averaging a double-double. He's already been an all-star and was an all-rookie. Killian Hayes, on the other side, is one of the worst basketball players I've ever seen in my entire life. There is no discernible thing that he is good at. He can't pass. He cannot shoot. He can't play defense. He can't do basically anything. Sometimes he can't even dribble. I'm not even kidding about this. Sometimes he really can't even dribble. Furthermore, looking at the other draft picks, Sadiq Bey is not on the team anymore. That's because Sadiq Bey was traded for James Wiseman. We'll get to him later. And Isaiah Stewart was extended for some reason. I have still yet to name. I have still yet to actually hear a reason why he got extended. Just again, I'm gonna do a little experimentation. Let me just look up Isaiah Stewart. Okay. Isaiah Stewart, to his credit, is having a career year. 11 points a game, 7 boards, 1 assist. But worthy of an extension? Maybe not. Certainly not on this team. He was and remains an undersized center and a undersized, like he can't shoot. He shoots below 40% from 3. He shoots 45% from the field. Like, if you're trying to be a center / power forward, you can't be shooting 45% from the field. I mean, you need to be more of a presence in the paint, but that things. I'm convinced at this point, given the fact that he's largely a pretty run-of-the-mill basketball player, that he was pretty much extended because he got into that fight with LeBron James. Like, I think if he doesn't get into that fight with LeBron James, he probably is, playing for, Brooklyn or something. Like, I can't think of any other reason. I really don't. I have no idea. Then we have the Cade Cunningham draft pick, which is probably his best draft pick. But by the way, it was gifted to him. It was a lottery pick that everyone and their mother was going to pick Cade Cunningham. I could have picked Cade Cunningham. I could have picked him. He's a decent player. He's having a great season, relatively. Problem is that he is shooting 32% from three. That is not great in the NBA today. It's usually not a good sign when your shooting percentage from three is worse than Isaiah Stewart. That's usually a sign that you're not that good of a shooter. But he is averaging 22 points a game. Like, he is basically our entire offense. But the fact is, he's not the player that we drafted. He's not the player that he's supposed to be as number one overall pick. Now, to his credit, he really doesn't have anybody around him that can shoot. And then we lead into the next two draft picks. Jaden Ivey falling into his lap as well, because the Kings decided to take Keegan Murray in front of us. Hey, Keegan Murray's a decent player. I'm not going to front on him. But they decided to take Keegan Murray, and we also traded up for traded for Jalen Duren from the Charlotte Hornets. Now, for whatever reason, Monty Williams hates Jaden Ivey. So that pretty much throws his usage out of the back. Like, he's a good player, and I mean, like, it's hard to say that he's a good player. He's an okay player. He's very athletic, but the coach just hates him. He just doesn't like him at all. And Jalen Duren is also a good player. I think Jalen Duren is basically he's kind of like a double machine. He gets hurt. Or he's gotten hurt a lot, which sucks, but he's a decent player. So right now we're working with two decent players. And we're not even talking about offseason. No way. We'll get some of those views. Finally, his most recent draft, he takes Asar Thompson and Marcus Sasser. Thompson is basically more attractive Killian Hayes. He does everything that Killian Hayes doesn't do, except shoot. He also cannot shoot. He's basically a turnover as far as shooting. But he plays excellent defense and he gets rebounds. He's a decent passer. So basically he's Killian Hayes, but he can play everything else except shoot. What am I going to do with this? There's another player who can't shoot, by the way. Marcus Sasser. I really don't even know what his role is on the team. I have no idea. I haven't heard his name called recently. Like, he's another guard that I wish I had more to say about Marcus Sasser, but I don't know what to do with him. It's like he's just sort of a part of the team, and we'll get to that later. We'll get to now Troy's reclamation projects. Now you got to think, okay, if you're a general manager of a bad team, you have to have some reclamation projects. You got to take some team's garbage and maybe you'll turn their garbage into some sort of trash, right? No, one man's trash is another team's treasure, as the old saying goes. Okay. Let's start with Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley has gotten extended by the team, but all he does is get hurt and suck. So that's not going to work very well for success. Well, that's fine. You could fail on some of them. Not a fan of the extension, but you know what? You could fail on some of them. Kevin Knox, he sucks. He's not good, as it turns out. The Knicks, in fact, were wrong to pick him, and also they were right to let him go. But we tried him, okay, and then we let him walk because it didn't work out. But then we bring him back in the middle of the season because we need somebody. Now, I'm not like a super smart person, right? But like, if say your team is struggling to shoot, right? Like you need like an offensive presence, right? And last year you had this guy. Let's just call this guy Kevin Knox. And Kevin Knox was like not that good. So like, in order to fix the problem that you still had last year, by the way, you still had the same problem last year. In order to fix that problem, what you do is you just get the guy that you had. I don't know what to do with him. We also have James Wiseman, who again, no discernible role on the team. He sucks, and we don't even know what to do with him because he sucks so bad that you don't want to give him minutes, but you can't put him on the court with Duren and with Bagley because then you're just running around with a bunch of centers who can't shoot, like it's 1973 or something. Like I don't like. It'd be one thing if we couldn't figure out his role, but he was good. But he sucks, and we can't figure out his role. It's a terrible combination. And then finally, Josh Jackson, another failed prospect draft from Phoenix. He's no longer on the team because he sucks. So he's not even playing for us at all. So that's that. Some other notable moves of Troy Weaver. Letting Bruce Brown go. So Bruce Brown, as you may know, went on to play a decent role player for the championship Denver Nuggets. So that's kind of unfortunate that he went to another team and he succeeded. That seems to be a running theme here. Fantastic. Then this one is unforgivable. We go ahead and we bring in Joe Harris. I believe we traded for Joe Harris somehow. I don't remember how we did this. But we took Joe Harris, giving the Nets a bunch of free cap space so that they could just sign Cameron Johnson, who was the guy that I wanted them to sign. I wanted the Pistons to go out and get Cam Johnson. You bring in Monty Williams. He's got a relationship with Cam Johnson. He likes Cam Johnson. And you give him Joe Harris, who, again, no discernible role on the team. And he sucks. And then finally, inheriting Dwayne Casey as a head coach, who was just not good. Dwayne Casey, to his credit, he didn't have a good team around him. And technically, he was the coach of that playoff team in 2018. But he is not. He's not a good coach. Players did not get better under him. It's not good thing. But yet, after letting him go, after resolving him or removing him from his duties, he decides to promote him into the front office. I don't know what he does specifically, but why? Like, let me just think about it, okay? So I can't think of an organization who, when they, I'm just going to say, fire their coach, they say, you know what, we're going to fire you, but we're going to let you take over the front office. Like, I think of the Red Wings when they let their old coach go. I can't even think of his name at the moment. Oh, dear. Hold on. Let me pull him up. Let me pull it up. I can't even think of his name. Red Wings. Let's see. Can I get franchise history? Yes, history. Oh, this is the year. This is this year. Let's get history. Blashill. Jeff Blashill. So they get rid of Jeff Blashill and they bring in Derek Lalonde. Now, what did they do? Did they promote Blashill to the front office? No. Did they keep him along as an assistant? No. Did they give him a pat on the back and tell him, good luck on your future endeavors. We don't want you in our offices. Yes, that is what they did, which is exactly what they should have done to Dwayne Casey, or the Pistons should have done to Dwayne Casey. But for some reason, they say, you know what? We know you were terrible. We know you just coached the single worst team in the league last year. We're going to bring you to the front office. Clearly, you know things. Whatever things he knows, I don't want to know them. So that right there is the history of Troy Weaver. And I am imploring Tom Gores, number one, if you would sell the team to an owner who actually knows anything about basketball and cares about basketball. Because frankly, it's embarrassing and it's disrespectful to the Detroit Pistons, who are one of the historically great teams in the NBA, to just have this level of ineptitude at top. So first of all, sell the team. But if you're not going to do that, fire Troy Weaver like yesterday. because this guy is a total clown. There is not a single move that he has made that has worked out for this team. He has taken a team that was already terrible, and he's made it far worse. Far, far worse. He does not know how to build a roster. He does not know how to draft. He does not know how to trade. He does not know how to sign free agents. He doesn't know how to be a general manager. He doesn't know anything. He is like me. If I was the general manager, I would do the kind of job that that Troy Weaver is doing. But I'm just a guy who has a podcast. I'm just a guy who talks about sports on a weekly basis. I'm just a fan. This guy's allegedly a professional. So, again, Tom, sell the team. But if you can't do that, fire Dwayne Casey or find Dwayne Casey. Well, you can do that. Fire Troy Weaver. Clear house. This is ridiculous. It's unacceptable. It's disrespectful to the brand of the Pistons. It's disrespectful to the fans. And it's just, there's a level of competency that must be adhered to. Absolutely must be adhered to. It's ridiculous that this is okay to win. Ridiculous. So, hey there, what you just watched was actually a clip from a larger show that we do every Tuesday night. What are you doing Tuesday night? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the like button so that you don't miss out on any more of our weekly shows every single Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you there.